Thank you
Okay.
so much for inviting me.
Now, of course, congrats. This is your first solo show here in at Anne Gallery. Of course, you had many other exhibitions before here in Korea, and you had such a rich career so far. But we decided today to focus on this specific exhibition that is going on here at Anne Gallery. Also because it was a great chance for those who are joining the talk today to see your work and then to listen to you talking about your work. This talk will be basically divided into two parts. In the first part, we will go with Mr. Boghossian through all the exhibition. We will talk about the main series, the media that he's using, and also the relationship between his work and the Korean tradition and Korean culture. But then after that, you are very welcome to ask him questions. So we will have a Q&A interaction with the artist. And after this, we will go back to the exhibition again and take a second and last look for today, at least. Okay. So let's start with the very first question that we have for you. We start from the concept that is behind this solo show that you have here at the Anne Gallery. Can you share with us what is the concept, what is the fil rouge that links the series that are exhibited here in the gallery?
The title of the exhibition is Wildfires, and so it is about fire. This is the fil rouge of the exhibition. This is the fil rouge of all my work, by the way, since I discovered fire 15 years ago, and I put it in my art, and I put it into my art, and I am only always thinking how I can use fire to create. And so the fil rouge about this exhibition is, again, the working with fire. You have two series, one is behind you and behind me, which is the Volcano and Wave series. The Wave series is coming from the inspiration came from Hokusai. Hokusai is, of course, the Japanese estampist who has created the wave, the famous wave, and that was my first source of inspiration. And I wanted to use the wave because it's very important. Wave and volcano are also creative, the means of creation of the world, because wave is water and the volcano is fire. And so water and fire are antinomic because the water can put off the fire and the fire can create a disturbance in the planet. It's important that these two series are related through fire, and I tried to first, as I told you, the inspiration was Okusai, but I tried to create into my work something that has to do with the wave, and it also became a volcano, depending on how the wave or the volcano explodes or falls, or so it's about movement also. It's about the same time tamed violence, because a wave can be violent and volcano can be violent, and the idea is to tame it and to put it on a painting and make out of it an artwork, hopefully.
And so of course, you mentioned right now, the use of fire. I said that we were going to focus on this specific exhibition, but if we step back a little, when did you start using fire in your art practice? When was the first moment?
Well,
and how did the use of a fire as a medium changed over the years within your art practice?
Well, first, when I was a young apprentice in jewelry, because I come from the diamond and jewelry world and the precious stones, I was making rings and the bracelets. So I was the son of a jeweler, and I was preparing to become, at the same time, dealing with diamonds and stones, but at the same time creating jewelry. So I really learned all the steps of the jewelry when I was young. In my summer, we didn't have only going to the beach. We had to work first, and then we could go to the beach at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is where I used the chalumeau, the blowtorch, that helped me bend the metal to make the rings. That is another life, and a very long time ago. I forgot about this until I started the academy and I started painting because I felt that I needed to have I needed to I was discovering the museums in Europe and America, and then I decided that I wanted to start painting. And when I bought for my son, who was 9 years old at that time, it's a long time ago, uh, all the tools for his Christmas present, all the tools of painting, I used it myself and I started painting. When came fire in painting? Because I evolved a lot through the whole history of art. And at the academy, I did evening courses in the Académie des Beaux-Arts for 7 years in one academy and 7 other years in the second academy. So I wanted to be really involved in and understand better the history of art. I was always also painting all through through the history of art until I arrived to abstraction. And in abstraction, I did the collage, the dripping, the pleating, the unpleating, the tearing. I did all the experiments. I'm an experimental artist, actually. I'm always discovering how I can go further, how I can go beyond. So when I started all this, when came the first moment when I used fire is what I was on my studio, and I have a chimney, and I use my blowtorch to light the wood in the chimney. At one moment, because sometimes it's cold in winter here, and I had need the chimney fire, and so I was wondering what happens if I take the blowtorch and put it on the yellow color on the canvas. What happens at this moment? Does it go brown? At which moment it becomes orange, then brown, then black? At which moment there is a hole happening? And I was discovering all the time things, the burning of the canvas that is all red becoming black, and all that. I was finding, and the result after the burning was always interesting also. The smoke also. So I decided to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And actually, I was tamed by the fire. I was chosen by the fire to do my work because I discovered so many things in fire that I always say it's fire that has chosen me to reveal it, because no other artist, every artist has done something and discovered things with fire, but I think I'm quite global in the use of fire and smoke, and create an artwork through fire. So this is how it happened. First time I was lighting the chimney, and I said, okay, let me see how the blowtorch happens what happens on the canvas, what happens in the colors, at what time they turn brown, they turn black, at what times they're a whole.
And of course, so you just
I hope I
mentioned that.
answered your question.
Yeah, no, you did. I would just like, if I may, to elaborate a little bit more about, because you said you you experiment a lot in your art practice, and I think we all saw it, because in the if we just pick the works that are exhibited here, you have such a wide variety. We have canvases, and then we have the book, we have the use of paper. Can we? How did, because you told us how you started using the fire. How did the use of fire evolve? Let's say, if you think about when you first started using it, and if you think about today, how did this change?
How did the use of fire evolve? It's it's a long process. I mean, every period, I started with a series. Like the first time, I started with little holes, tiny little holes in 2010, 2011, and I had an exhibition for that, and it was successful. It was in Beirut. Then I was invited at the Venice Biennale, and the theme of the Venice Biennale, I was invited by Armenia, the country Armenia, which had a palazzo there, a Venetian palazzo in which I exhibited, and the name of the exhibition was Fiamma Inestinguibile, the unextinguishable flame, because of my love for art that never ends, and it's like a flame, because of the flame of my blowtorch that never stops going on the canvas or on wood, on other paper or various media. So and because my so it's and also as it was I was representing Armenia, and as Armenia is a country that has known genocide, and my grandfather has to escape the genocide to come to Aleppo. Was born in Aleppo, Syria. I grew up in Beirut, Lebanon, which today is under hell and bombardment. But I hope for the better. I think things will change and for the better. The the unextinguishable flame of the Armenian people, because they have been exterminated like the Jews, and they survived and they made it in other countries. And of course, at that time, after the genocide, the Ottoman Empire was really losing its importance. And so they tried to kick up the Armenians from their lands, and they took it all, of course, in Turkey. The only small part of Armenia that remained was in the Russian hands. And I can say, although it was communism, the Russians kept Armenia as one of the states of the Russian Empire until Gorbachev opened the Berlin Wall. And this is the best, I think, the best decision that could have happened to the world. Today we are in another ball game with Putin and what is happening with Ukraine. So, so the unextinguishable flame was the title of that exhibition in Venice.
Thank you. And we will very soon go back to what you just mentioned. So the geopolitical situation that is currently on. But before we get there, your work, as I mentioned at the beginning, has been exhibited in Korea many times, and you have been here many times before. Do you see any connections between your work, also between your art practice and Korean culture and tradition?
I think I love Korea. I love Korean country. I love Korean culture. I love how they call it the morning calm, and it is really this mist that is in the mountains of Seoul and all that. It's beautiful. I have to tell you that we visited North and South Korea. We came to because we have our foundation that created this trip, which you cannot, no foreigner can visit. In 2012, we visited North Korea and South Korea at the same time, but part of the group did not want to go to the north. They were scared. So they left after South Korea, and we had to go to Beijing, to go to Pyongyang and visit the DMZ from both sides. But also we understood these people who stayed without big evolution over there, and South Korea, which is one of the most advanced countries in the world. So so what is my connection with Korea? That was your question?
Yes, that was my question.
Sorry, repeat the question.
How
what is
your
my connection?
if you see any connection, actually, if you see any connection between your work and Korean tradition and Korean art, because in the end, and Korean culture, do you see any points you would pinpoint between your work and what you see, what you saw here, what you experienced here?
Yeah, my paintings, my smoke paintings are like the morning calm, actually, because they are soft and they are poetic. My the volcano and wave paintings are more in the strength, the violence, the colors, the explosion. So it's a two ways, and life is always the yin and the yang, and the black and the white. And so my work is also like that. My series are sometimes soft and sometimes strong. The connection, of course, I like Li Bei, I like Liu Fan, I like all the Dansekwa movement, which we also exhibited in Venice. We created an exhibition in Venice for the movement Dansekwa, which we also exhibited them in our foundation. So I really feel the abstract writing of Park Sebo, for instance, also we feel there is a kind of obsession in the Korean art, some kind of repetition, of course, with the declinations, but it's okay. Some artists are evolving from one period to other, but I am more in the experimental world, and in this way, I like to discover other things that have not been discovered before. And fire helps me a lot because fire is an instrument which you don't control. So the challenge is to control fire and to get something out of fire after you burn, because of course you can burn and the canvas can be with I mean total mess. But the idea is to make it into some kind of strength, harmony, and poetry also. So
Thank you.
so I love Korean art. I'm connected in my soul and in my spirit with Korean artists a lot.
Thanks. And as I again mentioned before, you already told us a bit about your family, the fact that you were born in Syria from an Armenian family. And while I was thinking and we were working on this talk today, we all know what's going on at the moment in the Middle East, so we're all under shock. And I was thinking, of course, that I imagine, has a big impact. It has a big impact on all of us. And what about you, considering, if you can, again, share a bit about your personal history and your family and your experience. And again, how does the current geopolitical situation impact your work? Can you see it already? And how, what is the impact of what's going on?
Actually, I have a message in my art as much as I have a message in our foundation, where violence should be eliminated. But the world is like that since the Bible. You have people killing each other, and all civilizations have been conquering each other and fighting, and they're dying, and for land, for food. I don't know. What I can say is that my work is using fire, the same fire that is killing other people, to create art. And so for me, it's I construct with fire. I don't destroy. Even though I destroy, even though I create damage on the canvas, I think at the end of when the result is here, it is a construction. It is a work of art done with fire. So to use fire is like dancing in a tango. You need two to tango. You need the artist to control, and you need the fire to do what he wants. And then at the end, you need to end up with a result where you create an artwork. So this is my philosophy. Fire is here not to destroy, but to construct, to build. And this is what I use in my art and what we use in our foundation. But fire is here everywhere. North and South Korea are already also in kind of hidden war. And for the Middle East, our lands also are under wars, and Ukraine and Russia. I mean, it looks like there is the business to sell weapons and to destroy in order to reconstruct. Because if you don't destroy, you cannot rebuild, and maybe the economies cannot survive. I don't know. Maybe it's a need. I cannot answer, but what I observe is that there is all the time problems in the world, and wars and dead people, dead and bombs, and of course reconstruction again. So that is for me, fire is a constructive element, not a destructive element.
Any questions from our audience? You can listen to their voices. You can't see your faces. Anyone? Would you like to start?
Hi, it's very nice to talk with you. Personally, personally, I have known your work from N Gallery and another gallery in Seoul, Korea. And in the beginning, I was attracted by your personal or family history because I'm very much interested in the art of the so-called diasporic people. I have been to Armenia, and Aleppo was one of my favorite cities. And my question is usually, I want to know, yeah, of course, I was in Beirut as well. And usually, when I look at some artworks of diaspora people, I was trying to find out some vestiges of the artist's background, family or ethnic background, and his adopted country. In other words, I was trying to find out the deeply Catholic or Eastern Church holy pictures that I saw in Armenia, as well as some of the designs in the beautiful mosques in Aleppo, Damascus, and Beirut as well. And later, maybe I could find some of the Western abstract paintings. So could you tell us about whether you have any memory of your works indebted, so-called indebtedness to the Arabic mosaic design or something like that? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. I'm glad that you know Armenia and you know Aleppo and you know Beirut. So you are, you know all my history already, except that I had to leave Beirut in 1975 during the Civil War. That is a long time ago, 50 years ago. And because there was shooting on each other, the worst war of all, the worst of the wars is the Civil War. Because you don't know why you shoot at your brother, your neighbor, and the next day you reconcile, and the next day you shoot again. Because wars, if you have a frontier, like in Korea, you know that this is our land, that is their land. There is a war where you have an enemy, like the First World War, Second World War, but like Ukraine and Russia. But when you have a civil war, that is in between houses, that is on the street, that is, you don't know who shoots on who and why they change their mind to shoot on the other side. And so it's horrible. Civil war is a horrible thing. And I left Beirut in 1975, but I had already traveled the world, luckily. I was 25 years old, and I could leave. All my friends could not leave. They had to stay because they cannot afford to go because it's expensive to live in Europe. So I left Lebanon because of the civil war, because a young boy of 10 years old was shooting in front of our building, and he was shooting in the air, and I shout on him to stop shooting because there is a ceasefire. And he points his gun on me instead of shooting in the air, and I thought I was dead, but he didn't shoot. And then I said, if you die like this with a young boy who points his gun on you, get the hell out of here. And so this is how I left Beirut. Aleppo, of course, I have the childhood memories, and it was a beautiful city, Aleppo. But of course, and the souk that you mentioned, and the history of Aleppo, which is Mesopotamia also, and the first writings on the cuneiform writings. I mean, it's a very rich that has been nearly totally destroyed. The old houses have been destroyed, so now you have only rubble, or they're constructing everything modern. And this is the birth of civilization we are talking, because that is the first civilization in the world. And it's not so old, it's 4,000 years ago. I mean, we are 2,000 years BC after Christ, and that was 2,000 years BC. So Aleppo is I mean, it was my youth. Beirut was my second, after my childhood, was the youth in Beirut, and afterwards was the traveling the world to be in my business until I decided to start art, which was in much later. I mean, what was as I told you, about 35 years ago, when I started really embracing art, visiting museums, learning, studying at the history of art and at the academy, and also doing all types. I mean, I studied sculpture, I studied various ways of to create art, and it all stayed in me, and it's kind of became now I use all what I have learned, and I try to create with what I have learned, and I try to put some techniques together also to create what I want to express at one moment.
By the way, yesterday, sorry, this is a question that is coming to my mind. Like, I was talking to a gallerist, not June, another gallerist, who said how that in the end, sometimes we stress too much about when we talk about art and when we talk about art production. Of course, it is super important that an artist has, a background, but he said sometimes I have the feeling that we stress too much about how important it is, to go to the academies and so on. Because he was saying there are amazing artists who never ever even went to academies. So my question that just comes to my mind, because you had a different path in your art practice compared to some, let's say, more traditional ones, because you had other experience, and then you discovered art, and then you studied art, and so on. So my question was, as per your experience, how important it is the academic approach to art? How important is education? How important was it for you? Could you have done without at all or not? Or
when I started painting just my house, and then I painted just a representation, because I need to evolve into all history of art to advance. So I started painting nature, and I was really more in the impressionist kind type of painting, and because I love the impressionist. But I met one artist, an old lady at that time, who I told her, come and see my work because I need another eye to tell me what you think. So she came and saw my studio. Actually, I was painting in my guest room. It was guest room. It finished. It was no more guest room. It became a studio for me, and I didn't receive any more people to sleep in that room. And so she came and saw. She told me, no, you cannot stay like that. I have business people who come and learn with me like you. They're business people. They go, they travel, but they come, and 2 times a week they bring their material and they work. They work again with each other, because you have to be with other artists. You have to exchange. You have to see what other people do and how and why. And you talk to each other. I can speak about your work also. I said okay. So I went there. The first lesson that she wanted to give, she put a banana and an apple in a plate. And I said, you're joking. I mean, you want us to paint this? She said something very important. It's not about what you paint. It's about how you see it. And that was my first shock, that it's not about what you paint. It's what you want to express through what you paint. So the second step was academy, because I felt that that place was not exactly for me, because I needed a bigger dimension. And so I registered in the academy. And then I was more steady, because I was coming from 6 to 9 in the evening, 2 times a week. And also again with the teachers, with all the class. It was good to learn history of art at the same time, because not only I was painting, but I was taking courses of the history of art. And this is how I think academical knowledge is important to position yourself in the history of art. What I try to do is to bring something new, hopefully, to the history of art that other artists have not done. And to not only that, but to express through fire what I feel and what I want to, the series that I'm presenting in Korea today. So academy is important, not totally, not necessary at all cost. And many artists have never done academy, and they succeeded also. So there is no, art is the beautiful thing where there is no real logic, how to become a big artist and how to become a good artist, and who can say a good artist and who can say it's not a good artist, and sometimes two critics have two opposite opinions. That is the beauty of art, where people can exchange without fighting, can exchange for hours about art in something constructive. While all discussions, if they go in politics, in religion, in identities, in frontiers, you keep fighting. And so, because everyone hides behind the wall instead of opening the window. And so it's very important that academy is one of the things that helps you go very far, not the only one. You have to have various facets in order to put all the facets of life into your art. So this is academy is important, but not at all costs, not necessary.
Thank you. And see, sorry, then I go back to you because otherwise I'm monopolizing the conversation here. But do you ever consider your art as a mission? Because you said something that is so as a mission. You said something that is, of course, so true, that when it comes to art, people they open up when they open themselves to art. I'm not saying as artists, but also as viewers. They open themselves, and beautiful conversation can happen. So, do you see your work sometime? Do you feel any mission in putting out there your work, offering perhaps the chance to people to start a conversation instead of fighting? Have you ever considered that?
Is art a mission? Is art a mission for me?
For
Yes.
you, yes.
Art is a mission. And I want to be for me, and also I want to be for the rest of my life into this mission where I can express myself, where I can evolve. And art keeps you young also. Art keeps you full of ideas, full of energy, keeps you motivated. So it is a mission. Yes, I was a jeweler before, and now I want to be recognized more as an artist than a previous jeweler. Actually, I handed over my business to my brother and my sons, and I decided to step back. I believe that at one time, the patriarch can be heavy and can be too much directive in front of the young generation who needs to blossom. And in order to blossom, somebody must go away. So in order of dying, I prefer to be an artist. I don't want to die. I want to live another life, which I'm doing, which is art. And I'm very proud and I'm very happy and I'm very fulfilled in doing that work where I spend hours in my studio creating and producing and doing art.
Thanks a lot.
Hello.
Thank you for your presentation. To be honest, I didn't know your work before coming here today. And we did, maybe as Rafael explained, we did a little exercise working around the exhibition and look at your painting and the artwork. And then we focus on, we choose one and we look at that for 1 minute. And then we had to choose a word. And to me, the word that came to my mind, looking at that painting, was pain. Now that I know more about your history, your pain,
Pain, yes.
pain, yes.
It's sublimated pain. Sublimated pain, because you know what it means? It means taking the negative part of pain and making it something positive out of it.
Exactly.
Creation is the result of
exactly.
pain, yes.
Creation, okay. So that would be my question. Like, because of your background, so you basically use your pain and you put it through to become something positive, right? You say fire, not to destroy, but to create something. So
Exactly.
yeah. I
Exactly.
want to ask you if you can elaborate a little bit more about it. And then I have also another question about the technique. So how you actually use fire to create these paintings. And yeah, that is my second question. Thank you.
So first question was pain, and as I told you, pain is part of life, and of course it can be my pain, it can be watching other people suffering and helping them. But in my work, my work can be the result of pain and is a result of pain, but it is the sublimated pain, and so I forget that there is pain behind it because I'm more in the creative process, and that is the beautiful part of it. That is you are yeah, you are creative. And the second question was about the technique. You have two series here in front of you. One of them is the smoke series. The other one is the volcano and wave series. Is materialist series. The smoke series is I produce smoke with various ways, like burning paper, like burning liquids. I produce smoke, and through smoke, I try to induce the pigments. You have pigments that goes in the smoke and are diffused on the canvas. So this is what the one thing that through my research, as I was explaining, I'm an experimental artist, and I discovered the way of the pigments that go in the in the in the canvas. So one of them is more poetic as a series. The other one is more in the strength and in the colors and the stronger colors. Voila, this is the two. The Volcano series is about more collages, paint, and burning, and recollages, painting. It's an alternation between paint, burn, collage, tearing apart, and creating that ending up with the result that you see, which is either the wave or the volcano, which is also abstract. I mean, you can see other things also.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's okay.
Thank you
She
very
seems
much.
happy with
Thank you very much.
with the answer. Thank you. What are you working on at the moment?
The same thing, further and further and further. I'm working on always new exhibitions in mind, or like I'm going to Egypt, and I will be next to the pyramids with a monumental sculpture. I will be because I also work on metal. Yeah, Lisa reminds me that I'm also at the United Nations soon in October, because Armenia, as you know, Armenia is a fragile country, and at United Nations we have decided to finance a room, which is a room that other people use also for their meetings and for decisions and for many talks that happen at United Nations. I will be the artist who will present the works in that room, called France-Armenia Friendship Room. The Room of France-Armenia Friendship. Why France? Because France has received a lot of Armenians after the genocide, and there is really a big population of Armenians. And because France is one of the supports of Armenia, because Armenia is a very fragile country today and could disappear also, like we lost a big part of our territory lately, and 100,000 people were kicked out because it was an enclave in the Azerbaijan areas. And there was some Stalin period where there was not a clear situation. So this was an Armenian land, Armenian churches, Armenian buildings, and Armenian architecture also, that was all destroyed, and they wiped out and sent, kicked out about 100,000 people 2 years ago, 2 years ago. And today it looks like that we could settle for kind of peace, where there is the new border, but at least there is not a danger more to keep getting more land and kicking Armenians out of their total country. Today, this is what is the purpose, and I think it's a good solution, because perpetual war is not a good solution. Today, what's happening in Gaza, and I think unfortunately, this is a disaster for the Palestinian people. but also maybe there will be a new ball game, a new frontier, a new way to create. But people must understand that the strongest always win most of the times, and so the weak people sometimes should settle for a second best solution instead of keeping to fight and keeping to lose and losing more by fighting more. So this is what I see, and what logic should say for people not to die more is to settle for a second best solution, not to always claim and claim and claim, while reality is this. If you must be realistic. And and I know that there is a tragic situation in Korea because the grandmother is in the north and the sons in the west and the south and all that. And when I visited North Korea and South Korea, the museums were the same. The language was the same. The guides in both museums, North and South, were telling the same story until 1953. And then you realize that one country has evolved so much and one country has remained in the communist system where all the money is spent on nuclear weapons and the wars and all that. Tragic.
It is. It is. But with art, we try to save the world. We try to. I mean, we put the seeds,
Art
right?
is the
We
answer,
put the seeds.
For us, art is the answer. No politics, no religion. The only philosophy that should remain is the luck we have and the blessing we all have, you and me and the friends that are here today, is to be alive, to breathe fresh air, to be in good health. Because afterwards, we don't know what after you die is finished. But at least just enjoy and be happy with your family, create, work. This is why artists are blessed also, because they are the second God. God is the creator of the universe, and the second God is the artist because he's creative all the time.
This is so true. And I think if we don't have other questions from here, this is the perfect way to close this talk.
To
Yes,
close the
this
chapter.
quote we can. Yeah, I will tattoo this quote on me. Really. Okay.
The pleasure
Thank you
of
very much.
being alive.
Yes.
Thank you so
How
much.
true.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us, and thank
you
you all.
all. Thank
for
you
joining.
all to be present, and thank you for your questions, and thank you for visiting Aleppo, to the person who visited Aleppo and Beirut, and of course it's far away from Korea. So, and for me, Korea was far away, but nothing is far away today. The world is very close. Even now
Thank
we
you
are
so much.
together, being apart.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are absolutely together, even though virtually. I
Yeah.
hope to meet you, to have the chance to meet you in person soon. I wait for you here,
With
or I
pleasure,
come
whenever
visiting.
you want.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
or
you
when
very
you come
much.
to Italy or to Brussels. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye. I
Rafaela.
will close this now. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye to all.